Hello everybody, I'm Symes and this is Robin.
Hello there, I'm Robin, and that was Symes.
Yes.
And that's a donut on the moon.
Yes, kind of.
Or it looks a bit like, actually, one of those
So-
things you sit on when you've hurt your ass.
Yes. It's a lunar hemorrhoid cushion. No,
This is our plan.
Yeah,
one
it's
of the astronauts has got a really bad bum.
Yes, so, sitting in a cramped space capsule for days on end, even in low gravity. No, oddly enough, it's not one of those. It is actually a inflatable logistics module for storing raw minerals that this craft is mining out of the moon's surface. And you may notice a slight change from where we left it at the end of the previous episode, because I have in fact moved the tanker over here and plugged it in.
Yeah, it's all plumbed in.
I did consider filming that, but it was boring and tedious. So I just did it.
So you didn't.
And it didn't bother sort of say, look, it's here now, you don't need to watch me bumbling around the moon's surface for 25 minutes trying to land it close enough to this thing. And in the end, the reason it's parked that far away is because that's where it actually ran out of fuel. And I went, screw it. That'll be fine, just leave it there.
Yeah. It's all plumbed in now, though, so we can refuel it.
Yes, so you can see that...
Ironically, it can now fly off again.
It could. You can see that not all of the liquid fuel indicators in the bottom left are full, because obviously the miner at the right is generating fuel. But one of the things we can do now, because the thing we'd linked up last time has an antenna on it, is do some science on the moon and transmit it back.
We can radio back science.
Yes, and we've had a contract to do that for a little while, so I've just completed that contract, as we can see, and that's got us more science because of our money to science conversion we've got going on.
Money to science ratio.
Money to science. So now we go back to the Space Centre and buy more science stuff. And basically go straight for this thing here.
That tree's getting pretty big.
Yeah, we're pretty much at the end of it on the top two. The two furthest at the right are the end tiers. The scary stuff. The automation tier. So we bought some more automation stuff, basically to add the rendezvous module to the autopilot.
Is that for like attaching stuff?
It's for rendezvousing in orbit, so I don't have to do it manually anymore.
Aptly named then.
Anyway, remember this space station? The one that's in orbit around the moon, even though you can see Kerbal far away in the distance.
Yep, I do.
Yeah.
Hello, Bob.
And yeah, Bill's actually in charge of this one. But you said that you hated the fact that it had that engine cluster glued onto the bottom because you thought it made it look stupid. Well, good news.
I might have passed a comment like that.
Good news.
Okay.
We will shortly be detaching that tug and sending it somewhere else.
So we're just going to fire it off in a random direction, or something a bit more...
Well, we are. I'm making sure that it's full here, which it is. Because it's a tug. It's not here just to move this space station into orbit. It's a general purpose, moving things around craft.
Okay.
So we're going to detach it and send it back to Kerbal so it can tow more stuff around. So it's decoupled now. And we move it away slowly. Turn the thrusters on and thrust gently away from the station. Like that. Marvellous.
Whee! Majestic even.
Yeah, that's all cool. And now, maneuver node planning back to Kerbal orbit. That's very accelerated speed. I did this, you don't really need to sit through it for the number of minutes it takes me to get it exactly as I want it, because approximation is not good enough. Turn to the direction of the move node, time warp around to the right place. There's the moon. Whee!
Bye bye moon.
And there's the station. You see how far we've drifted away just in a single orbit? Like 640, 650 metres away from it now.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. What's the gravity like on that moon then? Not very huge.
It's not huge. We are 60 kilometres up, but it's not super big. I don't remember the exact value. It's 1/10 of Kerbal gravity or something. So yeah, now we're thrusting along the manoeuvre node.
Looks a bit like a Star Fury.
Yes, which is kind of cool. And
now
we're heading out back to Kerbal orbit. So I'm just going to do a little bit correction burn here. because I think I may have overthrusted and wound up in an aero-braking trajectory, which we don't really want.
Nothing worse than an overthrust.
As they say.
Yeah, for
Right,
Mrs.
Establishing an orbit at 80 kilometres. Saying goodbye to the station, which is now 22 kilometres away. And now we're going to launch this.
Holy cow.
Check this out.
What on earth is that? Is that rockets upon rockets upon rockets?
There's a large booster in the middle, which has actually been scaled up to 5 metres in diameter. And it has 6 3.75 metre rockets attached around the outside of it.
So you got the main stage at the bottom, I guess, or the lift stage.
The entire thing is just to get everything above the sort of black and white fuel tanks into orbit. Because everything above that, there are 3 tiers of moon base components.
Ah, so it's a moon base.
It is. It's a moon base.
Groovy.
Which will be sent into orbit and towed by the tug to the moon.
Uh-huh.
So,
hopefully without plummeting.
yes. So we're going to use the autopilot to send it into orbit. And yeah, it's the biggest rocket we've ever launched. It's 1,600 tons on the pad.
Holy cow.
Yes. Which is
Quite
why it's
big.
got a great many very large rockets on it. There's no solid rocket boosters, they just weren't worth the bother.
Yeah?
Yeah. So it's really expensive. It's a million funds this rocket cost to launch.
A million.
A million.
Blimey. And it's really not going up very quickly.
Well, it's actually pretty powerful, but yeah,
There's
it's
a lot
not,
of weight.
There's a lot of mass in it.
Yeah.
It's already burned off 100 tons of that, of course.
Yeah. I suppose, yeah.
But yeah, so it thrusts majestically into the sky.
And overheats majestically at the same time.
Yeah, the rocket in the middle is overheating because it's surrounded by other rockets.
Yeah.
But it's okay. The autopilot is set to throttle down if anything overheats too much. So yeah, up it goes. Starts the gravity turn.
Does look a bit strange.
Yes, and this, if this was using realistic aerodynamics, then this thing would be terrible. There's so much drag, and I would just have had to put an enormous fairing on it. But as it is, I thought I'd just launch it in the raw.
It's only 7k up so far.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to keep on cranking. There isn't really a problem. It's going fast enough. It's going at about the right sort of velocity at each stage of the ascent. So, and we are
How
rapidly.
many meters a second are we at? Oh, horizontal speed.
Horizontal
Vertical
speed is 80 in climbing. Vertical speed is 300 in climbing.
Yeah, 300 odd 40 meters a second. So yeah, we're really cranking up the speed now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we're out of the thickest part of the atmosphere now, so we're really pouring it on. Thrust weight is up to 3.5.
Yeah, just as well.
climbing.
We're about to lose the outer
Yep,
tanks.
the outer engines drop away. And now we're on.
Onto someone's poor sap's house.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of weight still there. So we drop that. We drop those away. The rocket's now 600 tons.
Yeah, that's helped a lot, really.
And we're on the single main engine in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was
That's
and
got a honk load of fuel as well.
yes. The reason for that is that that was designed in what is called onion staging. So the fuel tanks around the outside were actually connected to the middle by fuel lines, so fuel from the outside was also feeding the central engine. So the 2 tanks in the middle were still full when we dropped the boosters away.
Ah.
So it's got a full
That's
load.
quite handy.
It's got a full load of fuel for the rest of the ascent.
Yep. We're quite an angle there, really.
Yeah, well, high enough up. It's going for the horizon really to get the horizontal speed up.
Yeah, we got 43k, so yeah, pretty high up.
Yep.
Yeah, the little astronauts there seem, well, blank, really.
So yeah, whatever. Oh. They're actually, I mean, they are technically piloting. There is a probe core attached to this thing as well.
Yeah.
They are inside one of the command modules for the moon base there.
Oh, so we're in one of the top bits
Yeah.
somewhere.
So, now we're
Oh, angling down a bit now.
going horizontal pretty much.
Although we're still climbing.
Yes, but again, it's more about the horizontal speed at this point.
Yeah, well, we're still going up at about 200 metres a second, though, so it's still
Yeah.
not to be sniffed at. You wouldn't throw a baseball that fast.
Well, I wouldn't, certainly.
I know I wouldn't. I said a rocket on it. A rocket baseball.
But Apoapsis is going to climb by another 10k, and then we'll be going for circularization. And,
Rah.
yes, there we go. It's just fine-tuning it.
Yep, a little bit of...
Coasting to the edge of the atmosphere.
I suppose there's like little tiny thruster rockets on it
To
to make it turn.
No, it's just got a load of reaction wheels on.
Oh, right.
So RCS, for something this massive, you'd burn an awful lot of fuel to turn it. Reaction wheels, although they use electric power, they're effectively like free because you can recharge them. And
What is it doing?
it's rotating for its circularization vector.
It looks like it's about to aim into the planet.
Well, it was pointing at the planet briefly, but then it went round the planet, so now it's pointing at
Like-
that.
Right, target located, start the dive bomb.
And now the circularization. And yep. There we go. And it fine tunes it nicely. And it's actually missed the node there. So it's going to laboriously rotate the entire ship to point at the node again and then thrust a tiny bit more. Which it kind of doesn't really need to do. Because it's only like 50 meters away from where it needs to be anyway. It's like 79951 is fine for periapsis. It doesn't need to be 80,000, but it's doing it and I couldn't be bothered to turn it off. So
Yeah, it just...
so it's going to
it needs a sort of error margin.
point down there and then just thrust very, very, very briefly. Like that.
Yeah.
Done.
That's it.
So,
Go home.
orbit established. So, yeah, so we can turn that ascent guidance off. And it's in a nice orbit. And now, we're back to the tug, which is still on its way back to Kerbal. So the tug comes whizzing
Chug,
in.
chug, chug.
I need to speed this up. Just check, get an orbit established. Come whizzing in, start trying for a rendezvous. And the reason for getting the rendezvous autopilot is so that I will no longer have to do this manually. Because, for heaven's sake, and this is, I don't do too badly here. It's like twizzle around and round a couple of times. Don't remember. How are we doing? Fully. Yeah, it's like, this kind of poke and hope approach is pretty rubbish. So we really need to...
Round and round and round it goes.
Which is why you kind of get the autopilot on the case instead. So you don't need to do this anymore, but the tug, being one of our early builds, doesn't have an autopilot module attached to it, so this is all manual right now.
Alright.
And but now we've got our close approach to the colony lifter, which is what that's called.
Yeah.
Docking indicator comes up, and yes, and then we get the singular joy of me trying to dock this ship, because I did find fairly early on, after I'd detached the tug from the moon station, that there is a design flaw in the tug, in that it doesn't have a separate reaction wheel built into it, so it rotates quite slowly, which is a pain. It's not insurmountable, but it's annoying.
Irksome.
So this is all running a little bit faster than normal, as you can see by the seconds counter in the top left.
Yeah.
Just imagine how painful this was for me. Oh, come on. So anyway, but yeah, we're just kind of coming in 250 meters away, getting lined up properly, trying not to use too much monopropellant. yeah. Trying to remember which way to turn things. Getting momentarily confused. But yeah, so it's kind of slowly drifting in now. And there is a slightly awkward issue with docking with this thing, which is that there isn't very much clearance between the edge of the thing to be towed and the outrigger engines that are on this tug. There's enough, but you do have to line it up quite accurately, which is what I am now attempting to do.
Closer and closer.
Yeah. Also, again, perfectly timed, so the rendezvous happens in the dark.
As usual.
Go me.
It's traditional by
It's
now.
like I've managed to do it every single time.
Yeah. It's like you're planning on it.
So, what would make for brilliant watching? Total blackness. So yeah, so we're kind of cruising in now. Again, time accelerated. This took a lot longer than it is now, and the tug's RCS is not balanced properly either, which makes translation slightly tricky. And I've kind of really not aimed this well. So more or less getting lined up, trying to line up there. And what happens here, although it takes me a little while to realise, is that one of the rockets is caught on the edge of the payload there. And what I did was try and rotate it into place and just managed to start the entire thing rotating. So yeah, that could have gone better. And around before too long, I make a decision to stop this messing about in the dark and turn the SAS on the colony shit lifter so it stops spinning.
Yeah.
And then try again. And then I go, hang on, this is what I should do. I will EVA my Kerbal. For one thing, he's got lights on his helmet. So I'll take him out of the ship, we'll fly him over to the colony modules. Get an idea of how big it is for how much it actually gets lit up by his helmet lights.
It's pretty huge.
It's quite substantial. But the reason
That's cool, actually. It's all getting lit up like that.
Yeah, the reason he's flying over there is because this ship, as you may have observed during its launch, has an autopilot attached to it.
Yep.
And it's that little white box there that he's right next to.
Is he going to
using,
blow it up or something?
No, he's going to take it off that ship.
And put it on a different
fly
ship.
it back over to the tug and attach it to that.
It's a damn good thing everything's compatible.
Yes, that's a Kerbal attachment system is the mod that lets you do that, like attach things during EVA.
That's pretty cool.
So rather than having to launch an entirely new tug with an autopilot on, I can just transfer the autopilot across. So, get it close enough that it'll actually light the ship up. I'll be able to see to attach to the thing.
Excellent.
And there's our tug.
Get out the boss stick,
So
the
yes.
super glue.
Yep, just fly over, glue the autopilot in place. Just to fly in a bit closer because it's yellow. It's green when you can attach.
Yeah.
And there it is. And it's attached. And immediately the tug starts rotating.
Like smacks him
So,
on the head.
Wait, what's going on?
You've got. That's instant boot up.
So now he has to sort of just fly around to where the door is moving to and get back in. But yeah, so it's spinning. It's up very slowly though, so it's not really a problem. You can easily grab on and climb back in. But now this ship has an autopilot on, and I can say line it up with the target automatically, so I don't have to do it. And it's still obviously it's still completely pitch black, and also it seems to be spazzing out with the RCS there, and the reason for that is that the reaction wheel's not working because there's no electric left in the ship.
Oh.
Because I used it all up in this trying to manoeuvre in the dark thing. So now I still haven't realised at this point, which is why things are still like firing off. But I'll get there, and I think that's the point at which I go, okay. And the sun just comes up anyway.
So has it got solar cells?
But
on
yes,
it?
it's got solar panels on the outside.
Good.
So now it's working again.
Everything's all right.
And the autopilot lines things up. We've drifted at like 100 meters away from the lifter in the meantime.
Yeah.
But it's fine, and now we've actually got some light, so we get a little bit of a nice image of the sun coming up over Kerbal as we move our ship into place. Oh yes, I also turned on force roll to 0 degrees, which will keep the engines from fouling on the superstructure again.
Handy.
Yeah, docking. Woo. And so, yeah, I was just kind of time warping in a bit closer here. There is also apparently a docking autopilot, but I haven't tried it yet. I'm told it uses RCS fuel prodigiously, and I don't think the tug has enough for that. So, it's doing it manually, but with autopilot assistance. Anyway,
It's getting there.
getting there.
It's getting there.
It's like a lot
Chug.
of our space program is kind of spit and baling wire, in the sense that, right, we've got this tug. It's not perfect, but we'll make it work. And we'll just transfer an autopilot across from a ship that has one and bolt it onto the outside. And that'll be fine.
Yeah. Nothing can go wrong.
And this looks like a good docking approach. Boink, bounces off. And yay, docked.
Hurrah!
Now I pump fuel from the lift stage in order to fill the tug, because we had some spare fuel in the lift stage and the tug is now full. So, detach. Target the moon and then use the autopilot to do a transfer to the moon. And the display goes a bit crazy. Not sure what's going on there. So anyway, I'm tweaking it a little bit, just so it doesn't kind of rendezvous with the moon's surface, because that would be bad. And the ship rotates majestically to point in the right direction. And prepares to go to its burn. Away! Bye, lift
Wave
stage.
goodbye to that. Bye bye.
Now discarded lift stage.
Alone.
Required.
Is that going to stay up there forever, or is it going to actually plummet?
It's in a stable orbit. I think I may. There's a function in the Space Center to delete ships, and you can do it with debris as well. So I think I may at some point have deleted it.
Ah, first piece of space junk.
If it's hardly the first.
True.
Left loads of stuff up there. We don't need this anymore. We'll just leave that.
Yeah. I heard that they're saying like 40,000 copper nails up in orbit at the moment because someone decided they could try and set up a copper shield around the Earth to bounce things off.
Right.
For transmissions. Like, what?
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a thing that I wind up doing here, because we're actually drifting away from the node. I don't know if you can see on the nav ball there. And the reason that we're drifting away from the node is because it doesn't understand puller configurations very well, and so the engine gimbaling still points the engines in the same direction, whether they're at the front of the rocket or the back.
Ah.
So I have
Still,
to...
gimbal is a great word, though.
Yes. So what I do is I just go around the tug and lock all of the engine gimbals, which means that the engines no longer kind of rotate to vector the thrust, and it's all of the rotation is done from the reaction wheels instead.
Okay.
But now the reaction wheels are able to rotate the ship back in the proper direction.
Excellent. Well, pilots all look very calm.
Yeah, they're all fine. There's two of them in the tug, two of them in the control module of the moon base. And yeah, boosting majestically.
Majestically, yes.
Majestically. And yeah,
And not burning any of the superstructure there at all.
No. It's obviously planted perfectly such that the flames pass harmlessly by the outside.
All very carefully designed.
Absolutely. Yeah, so there's 3 tiers of stuff here. I can probably just briefly go into what they are. And they're more or less in order of importance of what you need to get the base started, because it's not a complete moon base. It doesn't have all of the machinery in it that it needs, but it does have enough machinery to refine materials and make more machinery. So we can build it out in situ, as it were.
Yeah.
And I've got just balancing some fuel, and there are reserve fuel tanks at the back, and I'm just balancing them up because it started to skew the ship to one side because it was only pulling from one tank. Yeah. So there's the command module. There is a power distribution unit, which is a nuclear reactor. There is a refinery module, and there is a fabrication module in the top tier. And in tier number 2, there's a manufacturing module, I think, biolab, habitation, and agriculture. And in the bottom module is the science lab and the spare parts factory, and 2 large containers of liquid fuel and oxidizer rather.
Handy stuff.
So yeah, so basically the idea is that the tug also operates as the landing engines for each tier, because they separate off. And I'm just trying to work out why I can't see any of the orbit predictions, because there's a bug, and so I'm kind of going Yeah, so the top tier is so as I said, the tug also acts as the landing engines. The ship splits into 3.
So they just basically drop each bit at once.
So the tug flies each bit over and lands it, and then we detach all of the individual modules and drive them into position and link them together.
Funky.
Yes, absolutely. So now we're going and heading for the moon.
At super speed.
There's a minor course correction burn about to be done.
Minor wobble.
There we go. Course correction burn done. Now we have a periapsis over the moon rather than an interfacing with the surface, which would be unfortunate.
Strange thing coming towards us. It's the moon.
It's the moon. Hello, moon. So now, again, the maneuver planner has a circularization thing, and I'm just fiddling about that. So we hurtle to the moon.
Bye, moon.
No, we're gonna
Oh,
slow
hello
down.
again.
Hey, moon.
How's
So
it hanging?
just chilling out there in space. A little bit of pogoing. Again, docking port's not super solid, but good enough. And that's kind of the other reason for using a puller configuration rather than a pusher configuration, because when you pull, they tend to pogo like that. But if you push them, they'll sort of, if you try and reverse an articulated lorry, it starts to go a bit jackknifey. And it's very difficult to get it to accurately go in a straight line if it's doing that. So,
Goes a bit crazy.
Puller configurations a bit better at going in a straight line. Not a very good tagline.
No.
Yeah, so, and there's, you can see in the light now, there's those big hexagonal canisters of fuel at the back as well, the bit deep red ones, which are from Freight Transportation Technologies, which is incidentally where all this cargo framework stuff is also from. And it was
designed... the future, obviously.
Yes, designed to carry these modules specifically, so And now I'm just adjusting the orbit so it's a bit lower down, because it's obviously less effort to travel to and from a 50 kilometre orbit than it is from a 100 kilometre one.
If it's stable, you're alright, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, there's no atmosphere to graze, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And it looks
Do
weird.
you know what the lowest orbit you could safely go around the moon on is?
About 15 kilometres, I think.
Not much at all.
This moon, anyway, because it's basically because there's no atmosphere at all.
Yeah,
It's-
you
it's-
haven't got any friction.
Yes,
or
it's
whatever
just entirely about how high the highest mountains are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 15 kilometres I think is safe. I have orbited a ship at 15k over the moon and it didn't hit anything. So,
It didn't bounce and
yeah,
explode.
10k might be safe, but I think 15k is a pretty good bet.
Yeah.
So now, change the periapsis and then do another circularization manoeuvre to change the apoapsis, and that'll get us into a circular 50 kilometre orbit, which is where this ship will then park. Well, after a fashion. And yeah, I quite like it. It doesn't look very sleek or futuristic or anything, but it looks like a real thing that's actually doing stuff. You know, all structural girders and whatever. And coming in circularized. And the other nice thing about the moon is gravity is so low. It costs very little to actually move around in orbits. Kerbal is very expensive because it's quite high gravity, but the moon's much lower, so just a very, very small amount of energy will actually adjust your orbit by 50 kilometres.
Excellent.
Which it's just about to do now. Hooray! And we're parked.
Hurrah, hooroo.
And that's how far we've got. We're going to leave it on a cliffhanger. So, woo.
Are we going to smash into the moon and explode?
Well, hopefully not, because we just did an orbit specifically to avoid that. But next time we'll be setting the moon base up,
Hurrah.
which will involve lots of flying up and down to the moon's surface. So it's a good job we got an autopilot. Because otherwise, I would have had to try and land 3 different spaceships within 2 kilometres of each other, and that was never going to end well. So, any questions, comments at this stage?
No, it's all good.
A lovely moon base hanging there,
Yeah, majestically.
with quite a lot of wheels.
Yeah, lots of wheels.
Yes, each module individually wheeled so it can drive itself into position.
Yeah, so if we do land it, we can trundle them to wherever they need to go.
Drop them off, drive them into position, connect them together, and that will all be happening in the next episode.
Excitement.
So, but before we go,
Yeah.
I understand that you like drinking.
I do, yes. Mostly vodka.
Well, you
So,
should probably consider writing a blog about that.
well, funny you should say that.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
Gosh.
Shamelessly plugging, I have vodblog.livejournal.com, where I've started reviewing vodkas of the world
Oh, what magic.
and putting my thoughts and wibblings down.
Yes. Splendid. So, if you are someone who drinks vodka, and why wouldn't you be? You should check that out, and I'll put a link to it in the video description.
Thank you.
And so, until
As
the
we
next
orbit
time,
the moon slowly.
we trundle around the moon, it's time for us to leave you. So, as always, thank you for watching, and tune in next time for our moon base construction. And we'll see you then. Bye.
Ta-ra. Toodaloo.
Later. Space.
Space.